Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to MMOBomb. Welcome to another first look. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Gundam Evolution. The team asked if I wanted to take a look at this game, and I was like, yeah, because I played the beta and I enjoyed the beta. And it is a 6v6 Gundam team shooter. If you look at the gameplay, immediately I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, this is Overwatch. And the answer is yes. This is basically Overwatch, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of funny because the current, I guess, dialogue about Overwatch 2 has been kind of like a roller coaster. So it's kind of been fun to really see another game that follows the similar formula of a hero-based shooter, but with Gundams. And that's what makes it awesome. Of course, the obvious pull of this game is you're fighting Gundam mechs from all across the different series, and they're all battling each other out, and each of them have different abilities and different pros and weaknesses. And they take inspiration from the actual properties that they're from. So while some of the characters might remind you of some Overwatch characters mechanically, it's not like a one-to-one copy paste. There's actually been a lot of thought put into the different abilities, the different playstyles of each mech, and how they actually tie to the anime that they're associated to. I would say, as myself, I am a Gundam fan. Not a hardcore Gundam fan, but I have watched a couple of Gundam series. I do enjoy it. I've built a couple of little replicas as well. And, you know, I just really love the series. I'm a really big mecha fan. And this was really just a fun time. I think right now gaming just doesn't really have a lot of things going on right now. It's pretty quiet until, you know, we start to hit that fall season right now, which we're starting to enter into. You know, when October hits, then we're going to start to have some more games. But for right now, it's been pretty chill. This game kind of feel like fits that void if you are looking for a multiplayer shooter. Let's say if all the current multiplayer shooters that you're playing right now, you're tired of, or you've played enough of, or you don't like how sweaty they are. I think Gundam Evolution is a fun time. When I first started playing this, I was playing with a bunch of friends. I do recommend that if you do play this game, find some friends to play it with. It is a free-to-play game, so you don't have to pay anything. I think that gives you the best experience. I can imagine playing this game solo might be a little bit frustrating because just like Overwatch, it does require a level of teamwork that you playing solo and not communicating with your team can be pretty much a pain. But when you do have a full squad or at least 3 people on your team that are all communicating, it can be a really enjoyable time. And for all the different type of Gundams, they do fit different categories. Like you do have tanks. While there aren't that many tanks, I'd argue and say there's maybe like 2 of the mechs are kind of tanks, and a lot of them are like DPS based, and there's a couple that are support based. Actually, recently they added 3 new Gundams into the game that are based on like some other properties, and one of my favorites is which is Gundam Unicorn. That's like from arguably, like, I think that's my favorite Gundam, but they added that Gundam into the game, and it plays like a support, which I was surprised, but then it made perfect sense based off the anime. So I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense, and it's a fun play style. I was a little worried that Gundam Unicorn, just looking at the abilities, was going to be a little bit busted, but so far I haven't really felt like any of the characters that I haven't unlocked yet feel like overwhelmingly stronger than any of the other characters. If you did play this game in beta, there have been a couple of quality of life changes and improvements and balance changes. Unfortunately, I think the big one that everybody was kind of complaining about during the beta, which is I think it was Barbatos. I probably butchered his name, but Barbatos. He's from Iron-Blooded Orphans, so he's really like a melee-centric character, and a lot of people were irritated by like how fast he was, and on top of that, the stun capability he had, where basically if he jumped you and stunned you, it was basically like he would take your life. It would be GG. He's still like that now, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily like impossible to avoid. If you're smart enough and you still have dashes, you can kind of move in and out and like avoid getting hit by a stun. But if you do get hit by a stun, it's basically like a death sentence. The con of this is that naturally he does have lower health than a lot of the other people, so he is relatively easier to kill. So there have been slight adjustments, but if you were still annoyed by that, it's still prevalent here. It's not like they've drastically nerfed him, so he is still kind of strong. But as for everybody else on the roster, I feel like there isn't really one like straight up character in this game that's just like overwhelmingly better than everyone else. I think each of them have cons and pros and cons, and it really depends on how good you are and how well you can contribute to your team to the goal. As for the game modes, it's pretty much like Overwatch. You're going to get domination modes where basically you have to go and capture different objectives and hold them, like hardpoint type modes, payload game modes, and then like 2CP, which is basically moving to a point, capturing, and then moving further and going to another point. As for the maps are solid here. There are some good maps I think I actually enjoy, like one we had to like push all the way into a city, and then from there we had to push onto a ship. That one was probably my favorite map. While from a level design standpoint, there are some choke points that are a little bit unbearable, but from a design standpoint, just from a presentation standpoint, I enjoyed that map the most. The one con I would give to the map design is that I feel like the game doesn't do all that well of a job to like really make you feel the scale of like these mechs that you're fighting in. Like it kind of feels like, obviously like things are scaled down so it feels like your mech is bigger than like buildings and stuff like that, but it's just the way that everything is designed. Some of the like scaling seems kind of off. Like some of the vehicles that you see seem bigger than how they actually should be compared to like doors and stuff. And I really feel like if they really wanted to add to the immersion factor of this game, which probably wouldn't happen, but I feel like what would help this game a lot would be some sort of game mode, or maybe adding some sort of like Titanfall attrition type game mode with like AI that would run around like little foot soldiers, just so like you could really feel like this really powerful mech fighting on this big battlefield. I think when we played on the map with the city, it really felt like that. Like there was places you had to like dash in and out of, hide behind buildings, take pot shots at each other. Like that felt like a true Gundam experience. But then there's other maps that feel very gamey and they don't really give me that same level of like immersion that I feel like I got on that other map. So if you're going into this, don't go into this thinking this is like a mecha game. Don't go into this thinking it's like really a true Gundam game. Like it's not like a tactical game. It's not like a strategy tactical game that some of the other games have been for Gundam. This is really, to just put it blankly, it is basically a free-to-play Overwatch alternative with a Gundam mecha skin over it. And for me, there's nothing wrong with that. I think because it's free to play, it's easy to get into, and if you have an attachment to the Gundam series, I think that's just an excuse for you to give the game a try. But yeah, overall, the package is really solid here from a gameplay standpoint. I think when we go to, I guess, the monetization side of things get a little bit more, I don't know, meh-ish to even kind of icky. The monetization here is pretty much run-of-the-mill for most free-to-play games. There's nothing here inherently that is pay to win yet, but there are certain characters that they added into the game that you have to unlock, and just the amount of time it takes for you to get that level of currency to unlock them takes a lot. So it does kind of manipulate you into wanting to spend money, especially if your favorite Gundam, like me, Unicorn Gundam, is behind that paywall. Then it's very hard for me to like not spend $10 to unlock that character because I really like them. So kind of the attachment to the IP kind of causes that sort of manipulation that some people aren't a fan of. On top of that, some of the progression just in general seems a little bit too slow. Just to get to level 25 so that you can enter into the rank mode takes quite a bit of time, a little bit more than I would like because I like the game and I want to try to play it competitively, but just to have that barrier of entry I guess is good to prevent like smurfs, but it is still a little bit too slow for me to really get into rank. So maybe if that was sped up a little bit, I'd feel a little bit better. And on top of this, kind of like this, there is no real like progression system for each of the characters, so you don't really have like an incentive to really like want to like focus on one character and level them up. Which is fine, I guess, because you're kind of like based on how the game works, you need to like switch sometimes which character you're playing as in order to counter a certain comp. Maybe that's kind of why they considered maybe not trying to force people to, you know, one-trick pony a certain Gundam. There is a battle pass in the game, which is pretty standard across the board. But just this is my opinion, I don't think the battle pass is really charming. There's really nothing from the skin selection that makes me want to buy it, and since that's the only place where really you can get a feeling of progression in the game outside of like some beginner smaller little quests, and on top of that, they even lock additional challenges behind the battle pass. So if you really want to like level up faster, you kind of have to buy this battle pass, and if you don't, you're playing as like a straight up free to play player, you are going to be spending a lot more time grinding the game in order for you to get it unlocked. And I think like all in all, like these things might turn away some people, but I feel like if you know what you're going into, you can go out of it and have like a solid experience. I'm not saying this is like the greatest game I've ever played. It's better than Overwatch, but I do think if you are a Gundam fan, I think it's worth giving it a shot and seeing if you like it. And on top of it, if you're an Overwatch fan too, and you're kind of sick of how Overwatch plays, you could play Gundam and still get a refreshing experience. Whether it's just playing it until Overwatch 2 comes out, or if you're not even interested in Overwatch 2, but you still like that type of hero shooter gameplay, you can possibly enjoy it within Gundam Evolution. But all in all, that's my first impressions for this first look of Gundam Evolution. It is a free-to-play game, so hey, you don't have much to lose when it comes to free. If you want to try out the game again, it's available on pretty much every platform, from all the Xbox platforms, the PlayStation platforms, as well as PC, just no Nintendo Switch. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite Gundam is. I would love to know what your favorite is. Like I said, my favorite is Unicorn, but I would love to hear what your favorite is. And if they aren't in the game yet, let me know, which Gundam you would love to see added into the game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My name is Ethos, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, peace out, everybody.